Game subscription services really need no introduction at this point. You all know exactly what they are. The big three are, of course, the big three for consoles. You got Xbox Game Pass, you got PS Plus, and you got Nintendo Switch Online. But it's even branching off into other ones as well, kind of similar to like streaming services. Now you got stuff with, like Ubisoft Plus, EA Plus, or something, whatever it's called. You get the picture. Now, I have really consistently always thought that the game subscription services are just growing in number day by day on a consistent basis. There's no question about it. But it turns out that this may not be the case. It actually looks like these numbers may have started plateauing years ago, which can kind of suggest a few things about the future of gaming. Maybe not that it is totally going away, but that it might not be nearly as influential as maybe what we once thought. So this all started on Bluesky 2 days ago with this IGN post talking about how there are several games that were going to be pulled from the PlayStation Plus library in May, and they're considering this as a part of a quote-unquote big PlayStation Plus clear-out. So in a response to this, Mat Piscatella, he is a game analyst. He kind of studies different things with like statistics and how they are reflecting trends in gaming. I think some of his posts are pretty cool. So in response to this story that PlayStation Plus is removing a bunch of these important games next month, Matt made a post saying that US spending on video game subscriptions has been basically flat for years, following the growth that it had in 2020 to 2021. So this is about for 4 years now. And he says that this has only been boosted by the 12% boost in Q4 thanks to Call of Duty going on Game Pass. And then he says subscriptions are certainly not the future of gaming, although they can continue to be a part of it. Now, I found this story on a website called Tweaktown, which I think is a hilarious name for a website. But anyway, Tweaktown, they provided this graph here that I'm going to show. This is very interesting. This shows Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, and Nintendo Switch subscriptions by quarter from 2018 to 2022. It doesn't have the last 3 years because it looks like this is just the most recent data for all three that we have to compare them to. First off, I want to say I am blown away that Xbox is actually the bottom of the three. I figured for sure they'd be on top, but it looks like that is not the case. But anyway, you can see that, yes, starting in about 2021, somewhere in there, that is when things have relatively gone flat. It was growing before then, but now it's just kind of staying at the same numbers. This would give a good case to the statement that subscription services have peaked at this point. Now, some have said that Matt's claims are saying that they are actually going to grow irrelevant over time, but I think they actually agree with what Matt is saying, because I don't think Matt is saying they're going to be irrelevant, but I do think that they make a very correct point that these subscription services are probably going to stay, even if they are no longer going to grow, because they are a constant revenue stream. So in this thread, I did find one person's comment. So they said that Xbox Game Pass or PlayStation Plus is a revenue stream. There are almost 90 million subscribers between the two, and PlayStation Plus subscribers would most certainly increase if they included their first-party titles. But then he says, let's look at the revenue of Xbox Game Pass. It is on pace to earn $5.5 billion in 2025, and we also know from previous info that Xbox invests $1 billion in third-party content for the service. To put that revenue into perspective, Xbox would have to sell 78 million copies of $70 first-party titles. To earn that, subscription services are the present. Forget about the future. They are literally a critical revenue stream of the present. Yeah, I do agree. Like I said, I think both this person and Matt really do agree. I think it's just how they are wording it. The data right now is showing that these subscription services are necessary for the present and probably the future of these companies, as they are indeed a constant revenue stream. But as with all services like this, even thinking of services like Netflix or Hulu, we've heard of some of their revenues on separate projects not being good, like actually being in the negative, based on what they contribute to the service. My point being, if things have plateaued and they basically stay at the same numbers for these services, that's probably a good thing still for the company companies. But if they start dipping, or if they stay the same but the cost to make these games just goes up over time with the same number of subscriptions, you could see a lot of changes in these game subscription services. I'm talking years down the road, to be fair, but I don't know. It could get possibly to a point where it's not even worth putting some of these big AAA first-party titles on game subscription services.